9/11, OSHA stopped the training outside the US, and they also stopped to issue the OSHA card for those candidates or those students who were not the US citizens. And then I know many of my friends, even in the kingdom, they went to US to attend the session. They have attended the session from the institute, and when it comes to the issuance of card, the institute told them that sorry, we cannot issue the DOL card to you because you are not a US citizen. So now those people who are not a US citizen, or those who are not attending the OSHA directly from OSHA itself, so they are being issued with a institute card. So for example, in our case, we have our partners as OSHA Academy, which is one of the most popular accreditation body in the kingdom. So this OSHA Academy, once you will finish this course, they authorize us basically, or they approve me as a trainer as well to deliver the OSHA course on the basis of my certain experience, knowledge, and qualification. So once you are going to complete this course and inshallah you will pass the exam, then you will be receiving a certificate and a wallet card from OSHA Academy USA. You can verify this card, you can verify this certificate. There is no expiry on this certificate. And we encourage our students, we encourage our participants that whenever you receive the card or the certificate, it is your responsibility to verify the certificate once you receive it without further delay. Why? Because sometimes it happens that they have some error in their system. So if your name is not appearing on their website as you have attended the course, so we can complain them, we can request them to correct this error. Sometimes you are not using the right way how to verify your certificate. So we guide you, our team is going to guide you how to verify the certificate. And I will show you the certificate here also, how to verify your certificate. Similarly, sometimes it also happens that when you are sitting in the interviews, your employer or your interviewer, he is going to ask you that how do I know that if your certificate is real or fake? So in this case, you should know, you should have confidence that the certificate which I'm getting or the certificate which is with me, it is the real certificate and it has the full verification system available. So Alhamdulillah, it is a very good impact when we heard from our past students that our employer has demanded us something like that, and we told them, okay, you can verify now with the provided link or with the QR code. So and they are very confident, and they make us proud. It is a proud moment for us when our participants are leading somewhere, or when our participants are having good jobs. Definitely, inshallah, some of you are already in a good field, and some of you inshallah in future they will apply for good positions, you will get good positions. So there will be a very small contribution from our side as well. Definitely your skills, your experience, your hard work is one place, but I hope that you will not forget us, especially in your prayers, and there will be a very small contribution from our side as well. Then we have exam pattern. Whenever we have any international course, there is an exam. When we talk about exam, some of the participants, they starting having tension. When we talk about exam, some of the participants, they started having a smile on their face. So forget about exam, focus on the course. Exam, it will be on the last day of the training. It is like 1 hour, MCQs based, and there are two sections basically. One section number one is about MCQs, multiple choice question answers. 15 multiple choice question answer you have to attempt. There is no choice of the questions, you have to attempt all 50. And then we have section 2, which is like true and false. It also contains 15 questions where you have to mark the answer as true or false. So these are two sections of the exam. The passing marks for the exam are 70%, and to get this exam pass, you need to have minimum 70% or above. Uh, the overall result for the exam, it's like 80 to 85%. In case if someone is going to fail in the exam as a first time, maybe some of you are, having less experience, they are not be able to get the information, or they could get confused when the examination paper comes in front of them, or some of them are having some emergencies with them, or they are having too much workload, so they are not be able to concentrate during the course. So it's okay, no problem. We give you one more chance in case if you are going to fail. But this one more chance will not be with your choice. This one more chance will be with our choice. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that if you fail in the exam and the next day you say, I want to give the exam, it won't be possible for us. Whenever we have our next course available, you need to keep in contact with our team. So whenever we have the next course, then you can attend this course if it is a classroom or if it is a virtual, like we are attending the course now. So you can attend the course and you can give the exam. This chance you need to avail within 1 year, and for one time it is free of cost. So, but if you fail second time, then don't expect, which means that now you need to have work hard and you have to spend the money now. So one time examination is free. The certificate arrival time is like 4 to 6 weeks, but due to now this pandemic, the certification bodies, they are taking much time because like us, we are under lockdown, they are also under lockdown. And uh, in our last course of IOSH, and in our last course of OSHA, which ends just on I think first or second Ramadan. So they told us that now we are going twice in a week to our office. So we need to understand this situation. Once we are going to take the exam, as an authorized trainer, I am authorized to check your copies. So we will check your copies, and then we will submit the report to them. They are going to verify these things, and if they have any questions, they are going to ask me that why you have given him high marks, why you are giving him low marks. So after that, they are going to issue the certificates. Normally it takes 2 weeks for the soft copy of certificates. First they send us the soft copy, right? And as I told you, for the hard copies, now they are taking more time, because as I told you, the courier has a problem, the bodies itself have a problem. So they don't send the hard copies every day. Before it was like DHL is going there on daily basis and collecting the certificates, and they are coming to Saudi Arabia. But nowadays this process is very slow, so we have to bear. But now everyone is using the soft copy of the certificates. So once you will have soft copy of certificate, inshallah, then at least your waiting time will be reduced, and you will have one evidence, you will have one valid evidence that your certificate and the mark sheet is available. And once the hard copy of the certificate will come, we will inform you, we will take your addresses, and we will courier you with SAMHSA. So SAMHSA is everywhere. In local and domestic purposes, we use SAMHSA, and for international purposes, we use DHL. So don't worry about the certificates. These, whenever they are going to come from our side, definitely it is your property. We don't have any concern with your property. So we are not going to make any further delays in hard copy or soft copy. But you need to be patient, right? You need to be patient. At least for, as I told you, 2 weeks, give us 2 to 3 weeks for the soft copies, and then next 2 weeks for the hard copies. So we need to bear this time, and don't be in a hurry. Don't send me message every day, sir, what happened? Sir, what happened? We need to understand these things, right? Certificate validate, as I told you, you can validate your certificate with the QR code. If you want, I can share something with you how to validate your certificate. So this will be a good experience for you as well. You can validate your certificate with the help of QR code, or the code which is available on your certificate. So you will write the full URL and then enter your validation code. So then you will have the certificate validity. This there is no verification, there is no validity of the certificate. This certificate is not going to be expire, so don't worry about this thing. This certificate you will, once you will receive, you will have the date available for the verification when you have attended the course and who is the course provider. So whenever you want, you can validate your certificate. I will show you one sample of certificate for your information. Just a minute. Yes, guys, can you see the screen? Okay, so this is the sample certificate which you are going to receive in soft copy and then the hard copy of the same. So you can see here, this is the OSHA Academy logo. This is our logo as a partner. And these are all the topics which we are going to cover during the course. And if you see on the back, on the downside, there is a QR code, right? There is a QR code. If in your mobile you have the application of QR code, which you can download from Play Store or the Apple Store, you can see, you can just scan this and you will get the link. Once you are going to open, it will come with your name that this gentleman has attended the course with the green color, right? If you don't have the QR code in your mobile and you don't want to use this, then you can use this option. If you are going to go to write this link, or if you are going to click on this link, there will be website which is going to open, right? And once the website is going to be open, then it will ask you, can you see the screen now? So here you are going to put the your number, right? For example, this is one of the number. So the status should come like this, right? Your student name, HSCQ professional, 30-hour construction course, completion date, and with this green color. In case if this green color is not available or your name is not available, okay, no problem. If you can see them, just a minute. Can you see now? Is it, can you see my browser now? Okay, good. So once you are going to click on the certificate link, it will open this. And then you are going to put the certificate validation code full with the dash and all the alphabets. Then your name should be appear like this. Okay. Student name, ATP, approved training partner. ATP means approved training partner. HSCQ professional course, 30 hours, construction health and safety, completion date, and with the green color. If your certificate is fake or it is not real, so there will be no such information is available, right? So that's why I'm saying that whenever you receive the certificate, it is your responsibility. At the same time, you should verify. So if there is any problem, sometimes they issue the certificate, but they don't update their system. So in this case, we will inform them and they will update the system. 99% of the time, they update the system once they are going to issue the certificate. So don't worry about these things, right? You as a responsible, you can verify your things from your safety side, right? Now, what is the way forward? After this course, you need to have two types of qualifications available internationally. The one type of qualification is UK based and the other type is the US based. So in UK based, you can go for IOSH managing safely, lead auditor courses, internal auditor courses, NIBOSH HSW, NIBOSH IGC, NIBOSH International Diploma, NVQ Level 6, or MSc in Health and Safety. Or you can go for the US based qualification like we have in NFPA, which is also a US based agency, for the electrical safety courses, for the fire safety courses. Then we have this OSHA Academy 132 hours course, which is one of the requirement to be the trainer apart from your other qualifications and experience. OSHA Academy also require you, if you want to apply for the trainer, you should have 132 hours of the course available, which I'm also having this course. Or you can go for ASP, Associate Safety Professional Qualification, or Certified Safety Professional. But this ASP and CSP, you must have 16 years of qualification as a prerequisite and minimum 3 years of experience if you want to go. Nowadays, if in the UK, NIBOSH IDIP, in US, ASP, these are equivalent qualification, right? But CSP is the highest qualification. CSP is the highest qualification. Up till now, there is no such qualification which is higher than CSP, right? The only thing is the MSc, Masters in Health and Safety. So CSP, alhamdulillah, I'm not the CSP, but in our pool of trainers, we have the CSP available trainers who are, they are providing the training on the same topics, and they are also involved in the health and safety training and consultancy and auditing activities. These are some of the courses which we offer time to time as a part of our public course. We also do the courses as in-house. For example, if in your company you have 8 people or more than 10 people available, so we can also perform any of these courses within your company. So alhamdulillah, in our library, we have more than 100 courses on various topics of health and safety. And this is one of the most, popular course of health and safety, which is OSHA 30 hours, right? Yes, guys, any question? Any question? Is it clear everything what we discuss about the course, about the certificate?
Yes,
No,
clear, sir.
Clear, very good. Okay, so shall we start the course now? By the way, we will be taking the breaks time to time. Don't worry, huh? Don't wait for the to get further exhaust. After every 1 hour or maximum 1 hour and 15-20 minutes, we are going to take the break. Yes, the course, all the lectures, inshallah, on daily basis will be recorded, and we will upload on our page, and we will share the link with you, so you can revise in the morning time or whenever you get the time. You can just go to the link and you can revise. And also, just for your own responsibility, it's good that at the start of course, any of you just remind me if the course is going to be recorded or no. You can also see, if you with my name, you can see if the red dot is coming, which means that there is a recording.
Yes,
so sometimes if this red dot is not coming, so you can ask me. For the workshops, for the discussion, I'm not going to record these things, because this will make the the video size very large. And last time we did the same thing, and we found that the video size is very large, and it takes a lot of time for the upload on YouTube. So then we stopped this practice, and now we only cover those things which are like presentation or very important discussion. Those are the things which we are going to record and upload on the YouTube, right?
Okay.
So can you see the screen now?
Yes.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Sometimes you cannot see my screen because I will forget to share the screen. So then remind me. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So introduction to OSHA and safety regulation. This is our first topic. We will have, inshallah, 13 modules throughout the course, and there is no such time duration for each module. I mean, in such a way that these all modules are not equal size. The modules which are in the startup, for example, 1 hour, or for example, module number 1, 2, 3, 4, these are lengthy modules. And I hope, inshallah, today, if we will be able to cover minimum 2 modules, that would be ideal for us. Otherwise, we will go with the flow, right? We are not in a hurry. And similarly, you should also be not in a hurry. If whenever you will have any question, whenever you need to discuss something, you can ask, and whenever there is a discussion involved, we will give you adequate time. We will give you good time for the workshop activities. So none of us should be in hurry, right? We are here to learn something, and we already have limited time, so no problem. If we need to have more time, for example, after first day, second day, we realize that we need to have more time, so we can increase our time. Instead of 12 o'clock, we can make it 12:30 or 1 o'clock, no problem for me, at least, no problem. And similarly, definitely you are also here to get the knowledge, so this should not be a problem for you. When we say OSHA 30 hours, this is a very good question. When we say OSHA 30 hours, it doesn't mean that you have to spend all 30 hours in the classroom, right? When we have OSHA 30 hours or any of the 30-hour course, guys, please. Whenever we have, just a minute. Now I will make you mute, so then nobody can, we cannot hear anymore. So when we say OSHA 30 hours, it doesn't mean that we have to spend 30 hours in the classroom. It means that whatever the syllabus is available, what are the mandatory, for example, in OSHA 30 hours, there are 9 topics which are mandatory and 4 topics which are optional. So we are going to cover our full course, inshallah, as I told you, in such a way that we will be covering our whole topics. So 30 hours is that course title. There is no doubt about it. And we need to have the coverage of all the topics, but it is not necessary that we need to have all 30 hours as a classroom. We will also be giving you some homework. We will also be involving you in some workshops. So this will be covering our maximum time as well. You know, in when someone asks me this question, I remind that in some companies, you will find 2 types of employees, right? Maybe if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, in companies, you will find 2 types of employees. One type of employee that he comes on time or sometimes 5 minutes before the time, and the whole day he's unproductive, or you can say non-productive, and he is just watching the clock. Once 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock is going to be, happen, and he will leave the company. As far as the attendance is concerned, this gentleman is the best employee. But what is the productivity level? On the other hand, there is another guy who comes 15 minutes, 20 minutes late, but when he is performing the job, when he is doing the job, it's very productive. The way he is going to perform the activities, it is very useful. His feedback in the company is very important. So what do you think as an employer, when you are going to judge both of the employees, for you, who is the most important, or who is having more importance in front of you? Those who are following the timings only, or those who are productive? So
ones who are productive, obviously.
Okay.
Thing which is important for a company or for a department is the productivity of an employee and what they want from them. The sitting hours is like dead hours, and the management.
Exactly.
So the latter part is the best one, even if he's somewhat late. That's not an issue.
Exactly. Very good. So we need to be productive. We have the limited time for the course. We need to be productive rather than spending the time. That's why I told you in startup, forget about exam. Don't take the pressure of exam. Focus on the topics. This course is not going to make you expert for safety, but this course is going to give you a brief idea. When you are going to search on Google about health and safety, you will get more than 1 million websites, right? So after this course, at least you will get the idea that on which direction I have to go. You will know the codes which are relevant to OSHA. When we are the main disaster happen in our companies when we have some knowledge from here, some knowledge from there, right? And sometimes we are following American standards. Sometimes we are following, half of our documents are UK standard based and half of our documents are US standard based. So whenever anyone asks us, okay, which standard you are following? So we say Google standard. Right? Nowadays, Google is the best tutor. He has the answer available for all of your questions. So don't do like this. That's why the purpose of OSHA course is to give you the idea about the OSHA regulation. So when we are going to attend this course, forget about your existing practices, forget about what you are doing in the company. You all have the system available, I'm sure. You all are following the safety, I'm sure. You are all having a very good system, very productive and beneficial system. But when we are sitting here to attend the course, we need to focus on OSHA requirements. We need to focus on OSHA standard, right? As I told you, otherwise we will be, deviating from our path, and then we will have useless discussions. So focus on what is the requirement of OSHA, what is the requirement of this course, rather than too many things in your mind. So be here with your fresh mind, open mind, accept the change, accept what we are going to see. And this is what you are, you are here. This is the main purpose for you to be here, to get the more and more information rather than comparing. I know some of the participants who are already involved in the safety field or having some experience. Most of the time, the problem we have seen that why they are going to fail, that during the presentation, during the class, they are always involved in comparing the things. This is the requirement of OSHA and we are doing in our company like this. This is the requirement of OSHA and our company we are doing like this. Forget about your company. Focus, as I told you, what you are doing is the best. I'm not having any question mark on it. I'm not saying that you are not doing anything. You are, mashallah, doing very well. But here, focus on what is the requirement of OSHA. Here, focus on what we are going to discuss, right? And definitely, I'm going to ask your feedback. I'm going to ask your experience on different topics. And whenever you have also an experience of any of the topic or which you are using, sometimes you are using some good practices. So you are most welcome to share. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not discouraging any of the discussion. We are here to discuss. We are here to learn from each other. So, but in your mind, there should not be a war, right? In most of the time, we have seen that sometimes the participant, they have war in their minds. So this war is not allowing you to learn the new things. So we have to take away this barrier. We have to be available here with open mind. So let's start with the introduction of OSHA. Who is responsible for safety? Yes, guys, please. Anyone? Who is responsible for safety?
Everyone.
Everyone is responsible.
Everyone.
Yes, Mr. Abid, who is responsible?
Everyone is responsible for safety.
Yes, Mr. Adnan. Yes, Mr. Babar. Who is responsible for safety?
Yeah, everyone is responsible for their own safety first and to follow safety guidelines for sure. Who's working
Okay.
in any kind of environment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mr. Moas. Mr. Moas.
Yes,
Everyone.
everyone is responsible for safety. Yeah.
Okay, just correct me. Your name is Moaz, Moiz, or
معز
Moaz. Okay, Moaz.
عربي عاد معز شكرا.
Good, mashallah. Okay, everyone is, if everyone is responsible for safety, you are all saying everyone is responsible for safety. Everyone is responsible for safety. Yes, Saddam, please.
Also the company.
Also the company. Oh, company is
Yeah.
Okay. So most of you guys are saying everyone is responsible for safety. So then why we need to have the safety department if everyone is responsible for the safety? Why we need to have safety manager? Why we need to have safety engineer? Why we need to have safety officer? So there is no need for the people like Abid. There is no need for the people like Rahbar. So there is no need for the safety people, right? If we are all responsible for the safety. What do you think?
Create awareness.
Very good.
You always need some specialized people to, you know,
Exactly.
on
Very
you.
good.
Keep a check on some, you know,
They are the one who are responsible.
Yes, exactly.
exclusive field. So obviously you have to take care of your own safety, but there has to be a specialized group who can, you know, who specialize on this and keep a check on you. Like, if, for example, if you take a specialized doctor, so generally everyone has to take care of themselves. But someone is ill or something is going, you know, someone has to take care of themselves, or someone they don't know about some stuff. There's always a specialized group of doctors. So same thing happens in safety. There's a specialized group of people who know what they're doing exactly, core by core, and that's the same thing.
Very good. Exactly. So basically, we are all responsible for our safety and all people who are associated with us. But we need to have some expert advice available. We need to have some specialized people available who are going to guide us. The safety department role or the quality department role is like a consultant. It's like a doctor. They are going to guide us. They are going to provide us the information which is needed, right? We or those people who are working in companies different or the various department, they are not expert for the safety. They are those people who are working in mechanical side, they are expert of mechanical side. Those who are in the maintenance, they're expert of maintenance. Those people who are working in warehouse, they're expert of warehouse. So we need to have someone available who is going to guide us. Okay, continue your practice, continue your operation, but how to make your operation safe, how to make your working safe, because at the end of day, human is the most important thing, right? If human is not safe, if our people are not safe, we cannot have a good productivity, we cannot, meet our targets. So safety, when you remember every all the time that safety, it's not something like optional. In companies, sometimes I meet the directors of the companies and they proudly said that we have a very good safety system and we spend a lot of budget on safety system. So the spending the budget on safety system is not, it is not something which you are doing for the charity purpose, or you are having, you are very kind to the people, you want to spend your money on the people. It's not like this. The company is for the business, the company is for the productivity, to make their business continuity, to make sure that people are producing the results what are expected from them, or to make sure that to meet the legal requirements, they have to follow the safety, if they want it or if they don't want it. So don't come under such arguments that we are spending too much money or too much finance or budget for the safety. They have to. It is not something which is optional. Nowadays in Kingdom, the requirements from the legal side are increasing day by day. They are getting more stringent. The clients who are working with you, before there was no such requirements, but you can see in last 3 years, in last 4 years, we have seen that the clients are having a lot of requirements with regards to safety. So if your company is spending the budget or your company is hiring the people for the safety, it is not for the sake of the charity, or it is not something like they are making some ihsan on the people. It is something that which is a requirement for them and they have to meet with this requirement, otherwise they will get the penalties, otherwise they will get the accident, and the salary which they are going to spend on the safety side, or the budget which they are going to spend on the safety side, more than this budget can be lost with one accident only. So that's why they are going to do these kind of things, and that's why we have the safety department available. Safety is basically our ethical responsibility, right? Safety is our ethical responsibility. If I am in the company or if I am outside the company, I have to follow the safety. If I am at my home and there is no safety department and there is no safety manager or safety officer available, and if my child is going to touch the socket, electrical socket, what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop him. If he is not going to obey my instruction, I will make him more strict instructions because I want to save him. So there is no safety department, there is no safety manager, but I am the safety representative. So safety is something which is inherent to us. When we are born, it is something which is by default from our God. So this is something which is a common sense. So we need to follow. I think Rizwan, no need for you to get the recording. As I told you, I'm going the recording, and inshallah every day at the night, just after the session, half an hour, I'll share the video. So if you want to record, you can record, no problem. So when we have the safety available, when we have the safety available, the specialized people, they are going to guide us. They are working as a consultant. Their duty is to give us the guidelines for the right activities or for the safe activities. They are not going to teach us how to do the welding, but they are going to teach us how to do the safe welding. They are not going to tell us how to deal with the electricity, but they are going to tell us that what precautions we need to take while we are dealing with the electricity. So safety is in line with your existing role. The safety is in line with your current job activities. We have seen that many of our participants, they who are attending these safety courses, they are not in the safety field. And we also don't encourage everyone to come in the safety field. It's a very challenging field, by the way. So, but they are attending the courses because they want to be safe. They want to improve their practices. Like some of you guys who are responsible for certain job role, and there is also a safety requirement. So they are attending the course not to become the safety engineer or safety manager or safety person. They are attending the course to have good information about the safety, so they can improve their activities. They can improve the health and safety requirements of their department as well. So safety is our ethical responsibility. We are all, by default, it is something which is in our minds and hearts, and we have to follow the safety all the time, not with the human. Even if we are going to see some animal, if we are going to see some birds, they are having injuries. How do we feel at that time? So we want to help them. We have the sympathy available for them. We want to support them by all possible means. So when we talk about human, they are more important to anyone else in the world. So we need to save ourselves. We need to save our colleagues as well. Any question? Clear?
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
So after each slide, I will ask like this. And whenever you have any question, you can ask, or you can raise your hand, or you can write in the chat. Now you can see OSHA most cited violations of 2019. What are these most cited? When we say most cited, which means the most observed, cite means to see. These are the violations which OSHA has observed too much. Always remember, when we talk about OSHA, it means that these requirements are applicable in US, right? But if these requirements are applicable in US, then why we are attending this course here? Can anyone give the answer? If the OSHA requirements are for US, then why we are attending this course here?
Because everybody is following the rules and regulations on
Okay, very good.
the international standard.
International standard, very good. And what else? Good standard that can be applied, very good. Yes,
Yes, exactly.
the purpose of this course to have here is mainly here Aramco and all their subsidiaries. they follow OSHA standard. You know, when Aramco started, it was mainly the joint venture between the Saudi Arabia and US. So before 35 years, when the Aramco started and Americans, they came here, there was no such standard for safety, but OSHA was there. So whenever they came here, they brought their safety standard, like they brought their technologies, they brought their other information and knowledge here. So they also brought the safety standard here. So from that time, Aramco is following the US based standard. Since Aramco is following the US based standard, so all the companies who are associated with Aramco, they are also following the American standard. So now we can see that over 10,000, 15,000 vendors of Aramco, Sabiq, Yansab, Yasraf, they are all following the US based standards. So that's why this OSHA course is very popular here in the kingdom. Those people who are working here for a long time, they know when you talk about safety, they say we know the OSHA standard. So we know the, otherwise now we have some new courses from last 5 years, 6 years, like IOSH, like NEBOSH, like ASP, CSP. But this is still, this OSHA course we have seen, NEBOSH is the highest, higher level of course as compared to OSHA and IOSH. We have seen that our participants, those who have already attended the NEBOSH, they are still attending the OSHA. The purpose that we ask them, they say that NEBOSH, okay, it's higher level, but in my company, NEBOSH is basically UK standard. They are following the course which is being developed by the NEBOSH. They are basically UK based. So they say at the end of the day, in our company, we are following American standard. So we have to learn OSHA. So you guys are, mashallah, lucky enough that you are attending the OSHA course without the NEBOSH course. Otherwise, those who have done the NEBOSH course, still they are going to attend the OSHA course. So OSHA is American-based standard. All the regulations which we are going to discuss in this course are American regulations, and whatever the requirements we are going to see, these are all American. So these OSHA most cited violations, which we can see the top 10 violations or top 10 reports, cases which have been observed by the OSHA. These are also from US, not from the kingdom or not from any other country. These are all from US. So we can see on the first, the most cases which OSHA has been, has been seen or have been reported to the OSHA are with the fall protection. Then we have hazard communication. Whatever the written as a standard, we will see in the next slides, what is 1910. So then scaffolding, then respiratory protection, then lockout, tagout cases. Sometimes the OSHA inspectors, like our Difa al-Bandi inspectors or our labor inspector, they used to come in our companies time to time, and they do the inspection and they make the points. Similarly, OSHA inspectors also, they used to go to the companies time to time and they make the inspection and they issue the requirements. So this is something which is being identified by the OSHA itself, or the companies or the people they have reported to OSHA. So these are all the top 10 violations. What about here in Kingdom? What do you think? Which one will be the first and which one will be the second? And do you think that in the Kingdom or in India or in Philippines or in Pakistan, we have some different kind of violations other than these? Yes, guys. Mr. Azim, what do you think? Yes, Mr. Saddam.
It has covered almost everything, I think.
No, what I'm saying that, what do you think? These are the same violations which we have here in the Kingdom as well, or these are other than those? Yes, Mr. Weil. Osama.
No, these are not the particular ones. These are, but these plus other ones as well, which you have here in the kingdom. The mostly hazard one in construction site, which people in the safety look for at a project site, is the scaffold thing. It's very thing, how you put a scaffolding, how the people are harnessed or not, how the people are following the PPE properly. This is the basic thing what we see in construction site. If you talk about construction line, if you go to touch part with oil and gas, so that's also very important how they're following, with the equipment training. There is an equipment hazard, electrical hazard. These are very common in Saudi Arabia, and there is gas hazard. So, but in the construction side, I think the most common is the scaffolding one and the confined space work, what I've
Right.
seen in the project sites.
Right. Yes,
But
exactly.
this chart
Yes.
is showing you fall protection is the highest one with violations.
Yeah, in America.
That's in the US.
This is, and here also, I think we have this. I think this is also hazardous for making towers or like this one, especially in Jumbo.
Yeah, because of the scaffolding thing. If scaffolding is not properly done, people don't care because the majorly used, setup for high towers or making, do anything which requires height. Okay, so people are generally dealing with the scaffolding, and to prevent protection. The major thing is scaffolding, proper assignment.
Right. Very good. Actually, as far as my experience and observation is concerned, that in any of the country, basically these are the major hazards in any other countries as well. Yes, there could be a difference between the rating. For example, as Mr. Babar is saying, from his experience of construction site, scaffold is the number one violations, or scaffold is the number one hazard. I second him. I agree with him. It might be possible that in our construction site, fall protection training, or we have seen that the people who are using the PPEs for the fall protection, they are not using it correctly. So this could also be one of the violation here. Yes, we can say that all the violations which are mentioned here, these are all the violations in any other countries as well. The difference will be only the sequence, maybe which is number 5 here. It could be number 2 in India, which is number 6 here. It could be number 3 in Philippines.
Exactly.
So the hazards are same everywhere, and especially our worker category, they are same everywhere. So they have their own intentions. They have
India
their own
mostly it's
mindset.
machine guarding.
Yeah. Okay. Machine guarding.
It's mostly machine guarding and respiratory protection.
Right. Okay. Very good. So
Mostly people don't care about the ppm, right? When they're working in S2S company, hydrogen sulfide company,
right.
Don't care about those things. So safety officer needs to make them understand that need to take care of it.
Exactly. And especially also the confined space hazards are very common at many of the sites. So why we are discussing this slide? The purpose to discuss this slide is to know that basically almost these all topics are very important to us, and due to these violations, OSHA has decided to put these topics as a part of your course. So that's why now you can see that whenever you are going to attend any of the training, what is the system, or what is the mechanism? Before attending the training, there is a process called training need assessment, right? TNA. So in training need assessment, we define that, for example, Mr. Abdullah is going to attend this training. So why Mr. Abdullah has to attend this training? He has to attend this training. Why? Because of his job requirement, because he is very good in some other things, but this is one of the skill he is weak. So he has to attend this training. So OSHA has made this training as a mandatory for the people who are working in the safety in any of the sector, because these are the most common violations which OSHA is going to see since many years. Every year, for example, at the end of year, they issue the violations. These are 2019. In 2018, also the hazard communication, I think it was, as I remember, number 1. Now this year, most of the time they have the violation cases of fall protection. So these are the basic topics which OSHA thinks that it should be included in OSHA 30 hours course. So the people who are attending this course, they will know about the major hazards which they are dealing with in the company. Or in other words, before starting your activities in the company, you should have this training available. So the people, before starting their activities, they should learn the hazards and the precaution, and then they are going to assign the jobs within the companies. Last time, few months ago, our my cousin in US, he came here to perform Umrah, and I was discussing with him multiple things, and I told him that we have here OSHA course, and he was surprised. Why you are attending? You are having OSHA course here. He was architecture engineer, and he's also our partner in HSCQ professions. So he told me, why you are attending? You are conducting the OSHA course here. So I told him that this is the reason why we are attending. So he told, Anas, as far as my job is is concerned, I'm not going in the field, but for me to be updated with OSHA standards are one of the requirements. I cannot perform any of the project until unless I'm going to submit the credentials, my certificates of OSHA about which are relevant to my field. Because if as an architecture, I'm not going to design the building according to the requirement of OSHA standard, this building design is not going to pass. And if this building design is not going to pass, then my job is useless. So this is the importance of OSHA standard. They are going to give you these requirements at the time of designing. So when we are applying these requirements in our companies, we are already very late. We are already very late now because the company has constructed, the design has been, is already being constructed. So these OSHA standards are the best time to apply at the time of designing phase. For example, before the construction, there is a requirement that we need to get our design approved from Difa al-Madni, civil defense, which is very good, because if the design is going to be approved, which means that all the emergency requirements, fire requirements in our companies are going according to the requirement of civil defense. So similarly, we need to have the best implementation of OSHA standards at the design phase, because once the company has invested millions on one project, they are not going to change the design. Even they are not going to change the the design of one wall. They will say it is very easier for us to take out the safety officer from the job rather than to construct new wall or to demolish one wall and to change our design. So we need to focus to our companies, especially those people who are working in the construction side, those people who are at the project side, that they should apply the OSHA standards at the time of construction to avoid any kind of problem in future, right? And those projects which are being designed by US-based architectures or the designers, which are being designed by the UK-based architectures, they follow these guidelines. They always follow these guidelines. So these are all the topics almost which we are going to discuss in the training. And you can see that if we will have the understanding of these topics, then we can have good awareness about the safety hazards, and we can take the good precautions, right? Any question?
Hello.
Yes, guys. Any question?
Yes, I just wanted to ask whether permits falls under this category or not, like risk assessment and HETRA and COW.
Yes, our permit, risk assessment, these are all the part of our safety, but these are the activities, right, which required the permit. For example, fall protection required the permit. Confined space required the permit. Ladder required the permit.
Basically, these are surveillance mode, right?
No. These are the activities, and permit and risk assessment are the controls. Okay, we will discuss more. These are all our part of control, permits and risk assessment. And activities are a different thing. To perform our activities, we need to apply control, right?
Okay.
Can we have a 5-minute break, and then we will continue? You can have, you can take water, you can smoke.
I
Those who
have
are
a question and then.
Yes, please. Ask.
As you said about Aramco following OSHA standard, since when Aramco following?
Since the Americans are here. Because in Saudi Arab, we don't have, still we, in this slide, that's why if you can see that, what are the legislations. In Saudi Arab, unfortunately, we don't have any single standard of health and safety, which we call that this is the health and safety standard of Aramco. They have their own standard of health and safety. Sabiq, they have their own. Royal Commission, they have their own. Difal Bandi, they have their own standard. Right? Mudan, who are operating in industrial area, they have their own. So on the national level, still there is no such standard. So when you don't have any national standard, then everyone will be, following their own standards. So that's the problem. Okay.
And last,
Yes, please.
the last question. India follow local legislation
because there is a legislation available, right? In Pakistan also there is a regulation, and in Pakistan we follow Factories Act 1934, which is also being followed in India, which was basically developed by the British.
Any company in India is following US and UK?
In US they are following OSHA standard. In UK they have Health and Safety Act 1974 in UK. So they have India, these are their national standards. Sorry.
In India, any company is following US and UK standard?
I'm not sure in India.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Right.
Yes,
okay, guys.
yes, they are.
Let's have a 5 minutes break and then we'll continue our discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
ब्रेक.
Yes, guys, shall we start?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, what about others? Okay. Adnan, Azim, Babar, Melvin, good. Okay. So what are the legislations and what are the regulations? This is my question to you. Legislations. What is a legislation? Can anyone answer?
Legislation is the rules and regulation which is compulsory to follow.
Sorry. Right, very good. Yes, anyone else? Legislations? Group of laws, very good. See, legislation, we also have rules in our company, right? We have the policies available in our company. We have certain rules which we need to follow all the time in our company. For example, attendance policy, for example, vacation policy, for example, early going policy, for example, health and safety, quality policy, right? So we have also very too many rules available, regulations available in our companies as well. So the thing is, legislation, when we discuss about legislation, it is mainly about the legal. When we say legal, which means country based, right? Legislation are about country. Legislation are about state. Wherever your company is going to perform the operations, wherever your company is situated, they have to follow the legislations. They have to follow the legal laws of that country or of that state. So legislations are our legal requirements. And then regulators, those people who are making the legislations, we call them legislators. Who are the legislators? For example, who are the legislators?
Who are making the policies?
Who are making the policies? Very good. And group deputy rules. Very good. Parliament. Very good. Parliament, national assemblies, provincial assemblies, Senate. These are basically the legislators. And here, when we talk about kingdom, here we have Shura. We have the Shura system, right? That we have for all the cases, we have the Shura. They make the legislations and then they submit it to the king, and then king approves this thing and they become the legislation of the country. So who are the regulators now? Who are the regulators? Regulators. Minister committee. So who are the regulators? Yes, guys. Law enforcement team. Very good, Osama. Very good answer. Those who are responsible to make sure that the rules or the legislations are being followed. Government agencies. Very good. For example, we have very common example of police, Shurta. Have you seen that Shurta is going to come to you and they are going to guide you? No, their job is to make sure that you are following or not following. Have you seen the Sahir camera we have on the highways everywhere nowadays? Too much cameras. In our mobile we have camera, on our roads we have camera, in our buildings we have camera.
Yeah, we are experiencing Sahir all the way along.
Exactly. So this Sahir is not going to guide you. The program is fixed. If you are not following this requirement, he will take the flesh. Khalas. So the duty of regulator is not to guide you. The duty of regulator is to make sure that if you are following the law or if you are not following the law. That's it. So regulators are government agencies, for example, inspector, labor inspector. Labor inspector is not the one who are going to make the law for labor. Health and safety inspector, right? Government health and safety inspector, they are not the one who are going to make the law. Legislators are the one who are going to make the law, and those regulators make sure that the people are following the law, right? And for this purpose, we can have example of our police, we can have example of other government agencies who make sure that the people are following the laws. So what are the health and safety laws in kingdom? For example, health and safety laws in the kingdom. Anyone?
The basic one is that everyone should have a medical.
No. The name. I'm not asking that regulation.
Okay.
Name of the law.
Municipal party.
Okay.
Baladiya.
Baladiya, they have their own regulations. Very good. And we have safety and work royal risks. Yes. Okay. What else? Traffic regulation. Do you think traffic regulations are health and safety regulations? SAF, Saudi Arabian. Yes, Mas. So the SAF stands for what? Abbreviation for SAF.
There is one Saudi Arabian Food and Drug Authority.
Okay. Yes, we have SFDA, but this is for the drug, food and drug related laws. They don't have the safety laws, right? They focus on how to protect the product, not how to protect the people. In kingdom, we have Baladiya, very good, which is focusing on somehow they are focusing on health and safety also. In kingdom, we have our labor law. There are some of the clauses which are related to health and safety. You can note down these things because maybe tomorrow when you are going to work in a company and the company is expecting that as a safety engineer, as a safety professional, you are going to make the guidelines or you are going to make the company policies according to the legal law. So you should know the names of the laws which are applicable to the companies, right? So you can note down, for example, we have the health and safety law. Some of the requirements are in the labor law. Some of the requirements you will find in Baladiya. Some of the requirements you will find from civil defense. For example, fire safety and electrical safety. These are being focused by our civil defense, or you can say the fire Madni. And then we have SAF, as Mr. Moaz is saying. I'm not sure about this. There is a new regulation which comes in 2019. It was like MSLD, Ministry of Social and Labor Development Authority. They have issued the legislation. Before there was a Mudan. Remember, in industrial area, you will find the boards of Mudan, MODON, Mudan. Right? This Mudan is basically the authority who is dealing with the industries. But this Mudan is operating only in the industrial areas. So if your company is not in the industrial area, the Mudan regulation is not applicable to you. So this MSLD, they are also operating in the industrial area. They have issued the regulation. I did some consultancy on this project as well for one of the company. So this MSLD regulation are almost the same like ISO 45001. We have health and safety standard from ISO. It is like ISO 45001. So MSLD requirement, you can say that they have translated the version of ISO 45001 in Arabic. So this is one of the requirement which industries have to follow all the time. Since this regulation is new, so MSLD itself, Ministry of Social and Labor Development, they say that we will allow 3 years transition time for the companies. to go to adopt this standard in 3 years, but after 2021 this will be a mandatory requirement for the companies to follow. And they have a very good law about this, where they have categorized the law into 3 categories, like low risk companies, medium risk companies, and high risk companies, and then they have mentioned the requirements. So these are something which are important for us to know. And then we have another type of health and safety laws which are relevant to the client. For example, if you are working for Aramco, they have their own health and safety system which you have to follow all the time when you are dealing with them. SABIC, they have their own health and safety system. Royal Commission, they have their own health and safety system. So then they have their own criteria for the approval as an organization, as an individual. But the base for most of these laws are the OSHA. The base for most of these laws are ISO 45000, or before it was OSHA's 18001. Because health and safety laws, definitely any of the company or any of the body who is going to adopt health and safety laws, they have to follow some international standard so they can be a productive one. So I hope you have noted down like the laws from Mudan, the laws from Ministry of Social and Labor Development, Difal Madni, Civil Defense, then we have Baladia, then we have some clients requirements. You can say that these are not the legal laws, but since when we are dealing with these clients, so they are the mandatory laws or the mandatory requirements which we have to follow all the time, right? Any question? Okay. So what is OSHA?
Sorry, Mr. Anas, I have one question.
Yes, please.
How does labor law comes into place with this safety regulations? I can understand.
Very good question. The labor law full is not applied as a safety, but in labor law there are some clauses. For example, the labor law discuss that an organization has to provide the clean drinking water to the people, right, who are working under it. The organization has to provide the laws, the PPEs, for example, safety shoes, for example, safety gloves, which are needed for the according to the hazard of their areas. So this is the safety part. For example, again, organization says that in labor law they have also defined the working hours, that in one week you are not allowed to work more than 48 hours, right? So this is also related to the health and safety. For example, in labor law, they have defined that if the organization is providing the uniform to their employees, so it is the responsibility of an organization that it should be two, and the washing of this uniform is the responsibility of the organization. So these are, although these are the part of labor law, but these are also focusing on the safety side. So in ISO 45000 standard, in our health and safety systems, we develop one legal register. So in this legal register, we are going to mention what are the requirements which are applicable to us and what are our actions to meet these requirements, right? Just remind me tomorrow, inshallah, or after the class in the WhatsApp group. I will try to share one of the legal register for one of the company with you guys to have a better idea that how it should be, how the requirements are going to mention in this register, and how the company is going to define their actions on these requirements. So it may be useful for you guys as a practical concept, right?
Okay.
Now we have OSHA. OSHA is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Very important to know. OSHA stands for, sometimes there is a confusion between OSHA and OSHAS. OSHAS is also a health and safety standard, but it is the old standard from management system side, right? The companies get certified on OSHA's 18001. OSHA is the regulation of US, right? OSHA's is the management system, mainly focusing on the ISO requirements. So sometimes we have seen that the people are who don't have the clear idea about these both standards, they get confused that if we have to follow OSHA or we have to follow OSHA's. So my answer is you have to follow both, because OSHA is going to give you the regulation about health and safety, while OSHA's, or now the new standard called ISO 45001, it is going to give you the requirements for the management system, how to manage the health and safety, right? So OSHA is the standard which is formed in 1971, and from 1971 it is operating in the US. They have more than 200 offices and more than 2,000 inspectors throughout the US. The OSHA has their own mission, like any of the department or any of the agency which is being established. They have their own some missions and some purpose objectives. So similarly, OSHA has three main missions, which includes that they are going to provide the training to the companies or to the professionals who are responsible for the safety side. They are going to guide the company. For example, you are a new employer, you have just started your organization, so you are not expert of health and safety. So you are going to request OSHA that please guide us which of the standards of health and safety are applicable to us. So they are going to tell you. Sometimes they send their inspector to your company. Sometimes they are going to recommend, okay, go to our approved consultant. They are going to guide you. And the third purpose for OSHA is to go and check if you as an organization, you are meeting the requirements of OSHA or no. So mainly three purpose of OSHA or three mission of OSHA. Number one, to train the people on OSHA standards. Number two, to guide the people for the health and safety regulations of OSHA. And the third one is to go and check if the people are following the OSHA standard in their organization or no. And definitely when they are going to visit the organization, OSHA inspectors, if the companies are not following the OSHA standard, they are going to give them penalties. They are going to give them challan. Right? Any question?
No, the 3 points are quite clear.
No.
Very good. Okay. Now types of OSHA standards. There are basically four categories. We can say these are the broad categories, right? These are not the total categories. The OSHA has some other standards as well, but on broader level, OSHA has four main categories. These which are general industry standards. For example, the course which we are going to discuss is the general industry standard. The important thing about general industry standard is that general industry standards are applicable to everywhere other than construction, other than maritime and agriculture, oil and gas, construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, services companies, warehouse, logistics, courier companies. These are all, they are going to follow general industry standard. Then we have construction industry standard or construction industry. Those people who are working in construction side, those people who are working on architecture side, they have to follow the construction waste standard. But keep in mind that OSHA general industry standard and OSHA construction standard, almost 80% of standards are same, right? Some of the special requirements are available for construction side, for example, scaffold, for example, ladders and derricks, for example, hand and power tools. But most of the requirements are same for general industry standard and construction standard. And then we have maritime standard. What is maritime standard? This standard is applicable to where we have the maritime operations. For example, ports. We have Jeddah port, we have Dammam port, we have Yambo port, some important ports we have. So those activities which are being carried out on these ports, or those activities which are being carried out by maritime authorities, they are following the maritime standard for OSHA. Then we have agriculture standards for OSHA. So those who are involved in the construction, agriculture activities, those who are dealing with agriculture, they have to follow the OSHA standards for agriculture. So out of these four, we can say again that our general industry standard is the most common. Sometimes the participant, they ask that we need to have construction. So we say, okay, it's okay for you if you want to have construction certificate. We can take your exam of construction. The course almost is the same for general industry and the construction. The last 3 chapters in your book, they are mainly for the construction. We made one book for both general and construction. So the trainers, or there will be no hesitation when we are going to print the book or when we are going to share the books in soft copy. So there is one book for both the courses, and you can see on the title of the book that it is for general and construction. So other than last 3 chapters, these are all in general industry standards. Then we have most cited standards. Most cited standards are basically those standards which are having some specific requirements. They are going to change time to time as per need, right? But these are not in the broad category. For example, if there is some new regulation is coming, so it will be considered as most cited standard. But if there is any changes coming in the existing standards like general industry, like construction, like maritime and agriculture, this will be not the part of frequently cited standards. So OSHA have 4 main categories of the standard. We need to remember these things, because when we will be working in the field, it might be possible that today you are working in a general industry and tomorrow you will be working in a construction, because safety is a very broad field and safety is a very generic field. So it is not necessary that if you are working in a manufacturing company, you cannot go in a construction site, or if you are working in a construction, you cannot go to the oil and gas. The thing is that you need to have a command on standards. The thing is you need to have the qualifications available, and then definitely your experience is also going to count. So you should know that which standard I have to apply. Now, what will be the difference between yesterday and today? In your Google search, that before you were writing health and safety or the OSHA standard for health and safety, but now you will be writing general industry standard for confined space. You will be writing construction standard for scaffolding. So this will give you more precise search. This will give you more precise idea that what is the exact regulation is available. So as I told you, OSHA, they have more than 15 volumes of standard. These standards are very detailed. Here we are going to discuss very brief, only important requirement as required by our course syllabus. So you have all the access of OSHA standard. If you go to osha.gov.us or osha.us, you will find all the standards are available in the PDF format. You can download them, whatever your need is there. You can read and you can apply. But and once you are going to download or you are going to study them, these standards are very boring. So on any night, if you are not be able to sleep, just start reading OSHA standard. Inshallah, you will have a very good sleep, even you will lost your fajr. So this is a very good sleeping pill for you. You can have this OSHA standard anytime, right? But the good thing is that it is available free of cost. So you, instead of finding on Google, you can go to their website and you can find the standard whichever it needed, or even you can write on the Google. So it will give you the basic, the main site from where you can download the standards. Any question, guys? So OSHA standards, general industry. What is the code? For example, I have my name Anas, you have your name Abdullah, you have your name, Babar, you have your name Maaz. So everyone has some code. If we don't have code, then what will be happen? All will be Abdur Rahman, right? So it is not the case. To our recognition, we need to have some code or some name available. Similarly, OSHA general industry has its own code. OSHA construction has its own code. When we say 1910, don't get confused. Sometimes the people think this 1910 is basically the year of publication, but it is not the case. There is no science or there is no logic in 1910. This is only the code which is being defined for the general industry standard. So OSHA, because OSHA was 1907 or 1971, OSHA was formed. So how can they have this standard in 1910, right? So 1910 is only the code. So we need to remember this code, that this code belongs to general industry. 1926 is the code which belongs to construction. 1915 is the code which belongs to maritime, and 1917 is the code which belongs to maritime terminal. For us, since we are taking the course of OSHA General Industry Standard, or somehow we are going to discuss some requirement of construction standard. So for us, the most important is to remember that this General Industry Standard code is 1910. So when we are going to search on Google, when we are going to go on the website, we are not going to be confused. We will be downloading or we will be reading those standards which are available with the code. So we will have a clear idea. Sometimes, for example, fire standard are also available in construction, fire standard is available in maritime, fire standard is available in general industry. So if you are working in any of these sectors, it's better that you should download those standards which are according to your scope of work rather than any of the standards. So now you will see that what will be the difference between your searching of yesterday and today or tomorrow. That now when you are going to search any of the standard, you will be writing the full code. So you will get a clear, specific requirement which you can apply, and you will be sure, you will be confident that the rule or the regulation which I'm going to use, it is from the standard, right? Yes, there are some similarities between 1910 and 1926. As I told you, general industry and construction industry standards, many of the requirements are same, right? Especially the topics are same. But they are different. At the end of the day, they are different codes. We are talking about the requirements. These are same. Yes, guys, any question?
These standard works as references, right? Just like American Building Society or American Society of Mechanical Engineers.
Exactly. Like you have API codes, you have ISO standard codes.
Yes, American
right?
Petroleum
Exactly.
Institute, yeah.
So you have NC codes. So these are also the codes for OSHA. So whatever relevant to us, for example, we are learning general industry. So as a professional, that we should know that what is the code for general industry. Otherwise, no need to remember everything. No need to remember the maritime code. Nobody is going to ask you unless you are working in the maritime. The purpose for these codes to tell you that we will be using these codes in our slides when we will be discussing the topic. So you should have clear idea that what code we are going to follow or what standard we are going to follow. Okay, so now OSHA reporting. As required by OSHA, those companies who are having 10 or more than 10 employees during 1 year or during last 1 year, they have to report OSHA on periodical basis, which is according to their need, right? OSHA has defined different companies. For example, as I told you in our MSLD regulation, we have low hazard company, medium hazard company, and high hazard company. Similarly, OSHA has also defined the same thing. So according to their level of hazard or level of their category, they have to report the OSHA about their safety performance. So if your company has 10 or more than 10 employees in last 1 year, then it is a mandatory requirement for you to report the OSHA. When we say to report the OSHA, it doesn't mean that there must be accident. There must be some injuries, then we will report the OSHA. No, even if there is no accident, if there is no injuries, still we have to report the OSHA, our safety performance. For example, that how many hours we have spent for the safety training, what are the near misses we have observed, what are the new initiatives we have taken for the safety, what are the accidents, what are the major injuries or minor injuries we have seen in our system. So these all requirements we have to report OSHA. Do you know that in Kingdom we have the system, we called it Mukim for the organizations, Mukim.
Yes,
you know,
right.
Mukim system.
Okay. Yes, yes.
What is the purpose of this Mukim?
The purpose of Mukim, I think, is to safeguard
Yes,
safeguard
yes.
employees, health and safety when they are in a company, and the company has to, enroll everyone with that in kind of insurance, so that this Mukim is like is based with link with the Kama, right? And it's like if it's expired, then your insurance is expired. So,
Very good. Our much database is linked with the Mukim, right?
yes, yes,
You can say for personal we have Upshare, and for the companies we have Mukim,
yes,
where our employer cannot skip with Mukim, right? Our
exactly.
all information, our salary information, our Ikama information, our Zakat, our Gosi, everything is with the
Yeah.
Mukim.
Go
So
see
the
it's basically-
purpose, right? So in Kingdom we have the Mukim system available where we have these. In US they have the same system, but it is from the OSHA. It is focusing on health and safety. So this is an online system where the companies have to report their safety performances, right? So for example, if you have 10 or more than 10 employees in last 1 year, then it becomes mandatory. But if you have less than 10, for example, you are operating a Bakala in US, but the question is, how can you operate the Bakala in US? Bakala is here only in Middle East. So if you are operating a small company or shops in US, then it is not a mandatory requirement for you to report OSHA on regular basis. However, you need to report OSHA whenever there is any accident, whenever there is a serious injury, or whenever there is a fatality, right? So keep in mind that if you are having less number of employees, less than 10, the reporting on regular basis is not mandatory, but you have to report OSHA whenever there is an injury, there is a hospitalization case, major injury, or there is a death, right? In this case, you must have to inform OSHA. Now compare this system with our system. Again, we have the Mukim system, they have the OSHA system. Then we have the GOSI system. You know GOSI? GOSI, Journal Organization for Social.
Yeah, it's basically the salary system through which we all get salaries, and every organization has to go through GOSI, the salaries of each and every individual.
Salary, this system is not mainly for GOSI, but this system is for our social benefits, right?
Yes,
For
right.
example, whenever
Insurance.
yes, you can say insurance as a part. Insurance is one of the part of it. So, for example, if any of the employee is going to have injury in your company during the work, the company will send him to the hospital, right? After going to the hospital, the first thing which the hospital is going to verify that if that employee name is available in the GOSI system or no. It is the employer responsibility to call the GOSI at the same time and inform that this is the IKAMA number of our employee or ID number of our employee who has been injured, right? So whenever by the time you will reach the hospital will get notification, okay, this is the employee who is registered in GOSI. Or if you are not be able to inform GOSI, so you need to inform the hospital. They will check with their system that you as an employee, you are registered with GOSI or not. If you are registered with GOSI, so your all medical treatment will be free of cost, right? It will be bear by the government because your company is already paying some amount from your salary or other than your salary to this insurance to fulfill any of the injury cases or ill health cases which are applicable during the work. But at the same time, if you are getting injured or if you are having some other ill health issues other than your work, then you cannot claim with the GOSI. For this purpose, there is another requirement. We call it our insurance. For example, Taunia, for example, Bupas, for example, some other. So whenever we are getting injured, when we are at work, we will be using GOSI, right? Whenever we are going to have any other ill health issues which are other than our work, we are going to use our insurance card. So these both are mandatory requirements in the kingdom, and the companies are mandatory to follow these both requirements, right? So OSHA, now again go back to our OSHA. OSHA, in case of fatality, we need to inform OSHA within 8 hours, right? In case of fatality, we need to inform OSHA within 8 hours. And in case of hospitalization case, for example, you have lost your eye, you have lost any of your body part, you have lost your finger. In this case, we need to inform OSHA within 24 hours. So now you can see this is the same thing which we have to do with the GOSI. In case of in case of fatality, we need to inform GOSI within 8 hours. We cannot make delay. If we make delay in informing the GOSI, it might be possible that they will make penalty on us. In case of hospitalization, we need to inform GOSI. If you see your admin department, your HR department, they have the access to the GOSI portal. So they have to inform the GOSI within 24 hours if there is a major injury or if there is a hospitalization case during the work. So this is the same system we are having in Kingdom, and this is the same system they are having in US. So why I'm giving you our examples, because you are here and you need to learn OSHA, but at the same time you should be clear about our own systems, because when here we don't have any OSHA, here we have our own local system which we need to follow. So the important thing to remember, we need to report OSHA when we have more than 10 employees. Second important thing, we need to report OSHA in case of fatality within 8 hours. Third important thing about this slide, that we need to report OSHA within 24 hours if there is a case of hospitalization or permanent loss. Now you can see on the screen there is a form, OSHA form 301, right? Can you see it? This form, OSHA form 301.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, we
guys.
can see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very. Still wake up. So OSHA form 301, it is about the injury and illness incident report. Now your assignment is to find OSHA form 300. After the class, just write on the Google and check OSHA form 300. Then check OSHA form 300A, OSHA form 300B, and OSHA form 301. These are all the forms available from OSHA. You can download these forms in PDF free of cost. These are international proven form. Sometimes it happens that you are going to join a new company where there is no system for reporting of accident or ill health. So in this case, no need to invent another wheel, right? Just download this form, customize it according to your need, and adopt the same form. And if anyone asks you from where you have taken this or what is the reference of this form, so you are confident that I have taken this form from the OSHA website, or we are following the OSHA standard. So that's why we are using the same form which is available on the OSHA. So then there will be no question mark from anyone. But if you will be designing some form with your experience or with your knowledge, and this form will be very good, but if your director is going to ask you what is the reference for this form, then you will be lost, right? You will be silent. You don't have any answer. You can say that I have designed this form according to my experience. Although this is very good. I mean, I don't say that you should not do any, research, or you should not apply your knowledge, but those things which are internationally proven, requirements are already available, and there is no such copyright system. So it's better to adopt those practices which are already available to us, right? So tomorrow you need to search OSHA 300A, 300B, 301 form and share in the group of our WhatsApp group. You need to share. The thing is, it's good that you are doing now, but I would request that when we are discussing the presentation, when we are having discussions on the slides, don't use your browser, don't use your mobile. Otherwise you will be distracted. It's very good that you are doing this, but do it after the class or during the break time. Otherwise, when you will see 200 websites or 1 million websites, then you will be lost, and maybe some important information which I'm going to give you, it will be ignored, and then after that we will see that where we have discussed these things, or I didn't listen this thing. So we have to follow the norms of the group, or norms of the training. Okay, so you can see that the same system is being defined in the form of this flow chart. So if the worker is going to be injured, if it is a fatality, it is a death, then you need to report OSHA within 8 hours. If it is not a death or hospitalization case, we need to report the OSHA within 24 hours. And if the worker is admitted to the hospital, but it is not a hospitalization case, or it is not a major injury, so in this we need to report OSHA, but we need to have the register available within our company, where we have to mention these things, that one of our employee has got injured, and then we have made this treatment to him. So this is just for your own record. You have to keep, whenever the OSHA inspector will come to your company, he is going to see the OSHA incident log where it should be mentioned. Because if you are going to hide, and they will come to know from the employer's complaint, from the employee's complaint, or from some other point of source, for example from the hospital, that one of the worker came, he belongs to this company, and we make this treatment, then you can be under pressure, you can be under problem. So always, whenever there is an accident, or whenever there is a major injury, so we need to report the OSHA without wasting our time, right? Yes, guys, any question? Okay, one of the question of hospitalization, should it be, yeah, hospitalization case for 3 or more employee, or this is one condition, or damage of a body part. For example, your eye is going to be damaged, right? Your hand your finger is out now. In case of death, it's 8 hours. In case of hospitalization, it's 24 hours, right? Keep in mind these things. Any question? Yes, permanent loss or amputation. It's 24 hours. Okay, now we will have a workshop. What I will do now, I will divide you guys into 2 groups, right? There is an option available in this Zoom, that we can have the breakout rooms. The purpose of breakout rooms is to divide you guys into groups. You can divide, like, depending on the number of participants, in 2 groups, in 3 groups, in 4 groups. So we will be dividing, since we have less number of people here, we can divide you guys into 2 groups. So one of the group will be discussing about the rights and responsibilities of employees, right? And the other group will be discussing about responsibilities of employer. You will find things on page number 3 of your book. So you have to open your book, you have to read these points, and you have to provide us the summary. So you need to select any of your group leader who is going to provide us the summary. It could be one person, or it could be more than one person, but it will not be a book reading. It will be from in your own words, what you are going to understand, right? Should I make the group now? Is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now I'll break you in 2 groups automatically. So you will have a pop-up, okay, to join the breakout. So you need to accept this pop-up. Everyone see your screen. So in group 1, we have Mr. Adnan, Mr. Azim, Mr. Melvin, Mr. Rahbar, Osama, Weil, right? In group number 2, we will have Abid, Salam, Babar, Moiz, Rizwan, and Saddam. So I'm making the groups now. Yes. Yes, guys. I'm in your group now. So you can listen everyone. Okay, you need to discuss within the group. This is your group, only you 6 people or 5 people. They can listen each other. No other one can listen you. Okay. So what you need to do, open your book, go to page number 3, read rights and responsibilities of employees, and then make a summary. You can make this summary on any of the slide or on the Word, and then your group leader will be discussing these things, and you as a team, you will supporting him, and then we will conclude this exercise. You will have 10 minutes for this exercise, right? Clear? Osama, Melvin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Very good. First thing, you need to read by yourself as an individual. Take 5 minutes to read these things. Those things which are important, just highlight, and then make discussion with your group. Okay, and then
Okay.
finalize. Okay. Now I will go to other group.
What rights and responsibilities do employees have under OSHA?
Yes, we have to discuss.
Exactly. Yes, guys. Can you hear everyone in your group?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes.
Mafi
So
Girgir.
our subject.
So what will be our topic? We choose ourselves, right?
No, your topic is responsibilities of employers.
Okay, fine.
Employers.
Okay.
Okay. So the first 5 minutes you will read by yourself as an individual. Highlight important points. Then discuss in the group and bring us one answer. Okay. You can write on slide. You can write on Word, and after that you will share the screen like I'm sharing the screen. Okay. You have 10 minutes for this exercise. 11:30 I will break the group and then we will discuss. When you are going to discuss these things, don't use your book, don't read from the book. You have to speak in your own words, right?
Right.
10 minutes.
Or he's taking his work too casually. And what if he gets himself injured? What would be the responsibility of OSHA then? Who will be held responsible?
For example, if the employee is making the problem by himself or what?
Yes, he's taking the work too casually and he somehow injured himself.
Yes. This we will be discussing in next chapter, that in case if the company has provided the training, the company has provided the resources, and the employee is non-serious attitude or the casual attitude, in this case, if there is any accident is going to be occur, that individual is going to have the challan rather than the company itself. And company has the right to give him the warning letter. There are 3 warnings which are required as per OSHA. Then you can take any decision.
So there will be no role of OSHA in that, right? The company's safety engineer will make that.
The company
penalty,
safety
right?
engineer will go in this way. The first time they will go for the verbal warning. Second time they will go for the writing, in writing the warning.
Written.
And then third time they will complain to the OSHA, or they can make any penalties if it is necessary. But OSHA does not recommend to apply any penalty on the employee, right? They say that you can change their nature of job, you can make them job rotation, but don't apply penalties on employee. This is always discouraged. This is the last option. But here in Kingdom or in India, Pakistan, this is one of the common thing, that employer, they always want to cut the salaries on violations, which is not a good practice. Whenever the safety department says that people are not listening us, your general manager or the director will say, "Yalla, let's start cutting the salaries. On first violation, we will cut your 200 riyal." So all the workers then follow the safety. This is not the way to get them follow the safety. The safety, you have to make regulations in terms of the regulations, and reward and recognition, both. You have to make the strong regulation, and if they are doing the good thing, make it reward. We as an employer, most of the time, we don't focus on reward and recognition, rather we focus on the other side most of the time. Okay, guys. So now let's have the revision for our first chapter. OSHA reporting are mandatory to be followed in USA by everyone except number 1,
insurance company. Number 2, farm families. Number 3, government agencies. Number 3, schools and colleges. Which is correct? Which answer is correct?
OSHA reporting are mandatory to the followed by US company.
Farm families?
Any other guys?
Insurance companies.
Insurance.
No. Is it?
Yes. Try all should
See,
be.
this is reporting, not compliance. I think B.
See government projects.
Okay, so
In
the
US,
correct answer is B. Remember, reporting 10%. Just in this course, no need to remember everything. Just remember the keywords, right?
Okay.
You will get the answer. Okay, so the next question, that the OSHA general duty clause require employer and employees to do something. What employer must do and what employees must do? Number A, employer must provide a safe workplace. Number B, employees must follow safety rules and regulation. Number C, employees must provide a safe workplace.
It will be D, A and B.
A and B.